Noel Gordon, one of the participants in a powerful, insightful BBC documentary, Subnormal, a British Scandal. And what a scandal it was. It aired May the 20th, 2021. The documentary examines a system focused on the destruction, some say, of the black child within the education system. Welcome, Noel, to UK Black Men Talk Show, live on Supreme Radio. Are you there,
Greetings,
sir?
greetings.
Greetings.
It's all good.
No, greetings. Noel, just going to start with asking you to check in with us. What's your check-in number from 1 to 10, and a word of how you're feeling in this moment?
Right now, feel all right, you know. We just I got up late today, so I suppose I feel about maybe a 6 or a 7 right now, as my body's waking up.
And what's your word, Noel?
My word is fantastic.
Fantastic.
Something that just came to my mind. Fantastic.
Fantastic. We like fantastic. Now, Noel, I asked you to choose 2 songs. The first song just played, Joy and Pain. Now, can you tell us about what that song means to you, why you chose Joy and Pain?
I like the rhythm in that. I just love the music, and because I played a little bit of guitar, I just wanted to play that lead, the pick line in it. The lead line is quite difficult to play.
Yes.
So, and then the lyric side of it, joy and pain. You know, life is full of joy and full of pain.
It certainly is.
And if it's not one thing, it's another. And it's that life is just like that. It's like it doesn't stop. If not one thing, it's another. Joy and pain. Life is full of that. I suppose, yeah, the lyrics kind of have that effect, that meaning to me. It's what it means to me. But I just love the rhythm. I love Frankie Beverly, the way he sings.
It's a classic. So, Noel, for those people who don't know your journey, if you can just encapsulate the journey for us in terms of what you are doing out there. Who is Noel Gordon? Why are you out there? What is your mission?
So I'll try and encapsulate it for you. So, who am I? That's a good question.
Right.
No one ever really asked me that. You know what come to mind? I suppose because of my Jamaican roots and all of everything I've been through. I'll put it this way, right? I'm the original Dan Gargan.
Oh,
see
right.
me? Yeah, bad boy.
Oh, right. Okay, that's cool. We like
because what it's the things that I've been through in life and the way I've had to fight and struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that other people don't have to struggle like that just because of their complexion or the family they're brought up in. But growing up in the 70s, dealing with racism, being put in a school for subnormal children, my parents weren't even told. They weren't told that I would get no curriculum, no education. And over a 10-year period in a boarding school, although I came home at weekends, every weekend I come home in summer holidays. But Monday morning, I'm in school for 5 days. In a boarding school, exposed to all sorts of things. Children coming from all over the county. I grew up in Buckinghamshire.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was a strange environment. I was 6 when they put me in a boarding school. And they lied to my parents. They said, I've got this condition called sickle cell, so I need to be in a school with a matron. But my parents weren't told. The school had no curriculum. So, I had a crisis when I was 11. I went swimming with the school. They took me to the local leisure centre. And they never taught me how to swim. The big boys, I think I was 11 at the time. And the teacher said to the boys, swim across one length of the pool. I can't swim. They never taught me how to swim. So I thought, I'll be going in the shallow end and see if I can copy what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going for it, swimming. And I didn't even get quarter of the way. And it's a good thing I didn't follow them and go in the deep end, because I probably would have, they'd have to jump in the same, because I probably would have drowned, because I got this severe pain in my stomach, around my waist, so I had to get out of the swimming pool. And I took me back, we all went back to school, in the school van. I said, I don't feel well. They put me to bed early. They ring my mum. A couple of hours later, my mum comes with my dad, takes me out to school. I get home, my mum gives me some of her painkillers, and that done the trick. Now, we was told the matron, the school had a matron to keep an eye on me. So why didn't the matron give me something for my pain? Because it didn't give me nothing, because they weren't told anything about my condition. It was just all a made-up story. Because back in the 70s, if you were black, they would put you in a special school. And the council got hold of you. And because what I did with 2 of my brothers, they put 2 of my older brothers in the local special school. But they came home every day. But for me, because of my condition, I started to be in a school where there's a
They put you
matron.
in a boarding school.
Boarding school, yeah. I
Boarding
went to
school.
I went to a boarding school. Still there today.
A boarding school at 6, your entire school life, and there was no
Yeah,
curriculum.
no curriculum.
This
No,
is
so we had no curriculum. We did some reading when I started. I was about 7. I was about 7 when I started this. I was 6 and a half. My mum tells me, and we used to do on a Monday morning. I
hmm
would do I'd be teaching me how to read simple one-syllable words like sea, side, caravan. There's 2 syllables, caravan, and just simple words like that. But I know on a Monday morning that I would just write automatically. Didn't have to be told how to write. I would just do it. But at that age, I'm not aware of spellings, not aware of anything like that, and we wasn't really taught spellings at that age. I moved up a year because it was a different format, different teacher. It was just fell off the radar. It wasn't encouraged. I wasn't encouraged to write because of the environment. We had no curriculum.
there's no
This was
curriculum. Yeah.
1972. I started school,
People
15 miles from
listening.
home.
Some people find that really hard to absorb because I've talked to different people, and some people didn't know about that at all. That happened. That black children were disproportionately labelled as educationally subnormal, the ESN, and then subsequently placed in special needs schools for their entire school life. Just sit with that. For their entire school life, to those listening, that really is, it's disgraceful. With the listeners, we have some BMT questions for you. Right, you up for that?
Yeah, I'm cool. Yeah. Anything you want to ask me?
Right, so one of the questions, because you are actively seeking and striving for justice, and we know that you are committed. So this is a 2-part question. The first part is this: why does it mean so much to you to continue pursuing justice? And what does justice for you look like? Well, you can't forget about it. Some people just continue with their lives and just say, you know what, that happened back then. Here I am now. You're determined. Some people might just park it up. You haven't done that. So just let us know what it means to you to pursue justice now. That's a
Okay,
loaded question.
okay, yeah, I get where you're coming from. The reason why don't I just park it and forget about it and get on with my life? The problem with that scenario, right? If I didn't have sickle cell, maybe I would have worked in a building trade like my brothers or like my mates and done all right for myself. But having sickle cell, I couldn't do that sort of work. I ended up working on a building site, labouring jobs. One day I'm lifting up a railway sleeper, and it gives me a problem in my back. It gives me like a sickle cell crisis, which is a very painful condition.
Yes.
I couldn't work for the rest of the day. I'd sit in the van and wait because we was outside town, so I had to wait. I was in a village outside of Aylesbury, which is where I grew up. I had to wait for them to finish work, get in the van, get back to home, go to the hospital, get admitted, get painkillers for my pain. So what school did to me, it robbed me of my childhood. They stopped me from achieving my full potential. When I left school, I couldn't write, I couldn't spell, I could just about read. And when you're young, especially if you're black, and you're in a system that deliberately discriminates against you, you need to be educated. You need to be intellectual. You need to be able to navigate the system, represent yourself on paper. You're able to read, you're able to write, you're able to articulate yourself. Because back in the day, they said we were 12 points behind white children. That's why many black children were put in those schools. It was all the rage back in the 70s, these schools. And it was when black parents went to a party, and Bernard Cord, who was an educator, came from, I think it was Grenada he came from. And they said to him, "How you work in one of them schools?" And he said, "Yeah, I do." And there's a big party, and he says the party mashup. And he says, "Well, look," because people ask him questions, "How comes our children are not achieving in school?" They said they're special schools, so we've got the impression that we're better than normal schools. He said, "No, they're schools where children are not learning." And the majority of them in them schools are black. And he started a movement back in the 70s, 1970, when he wrote his seminal book about how the system is called, how the black child is made educated subnormal by the British school system. You can get that book online, Bernard Cord. So, and I didn't know any of this. I was living in Buckinghamshire. Even though I had a sister who lived in Tottenham, my dad would come up here. And New Beacon Bookshop was like in Finsbury Park, where they started that movement in supplementary schools. But my family didn't really read that. Even though my dad was very educated, his walking calculator, they didn't, they were too busy working. And you ask me, why am I, why not I park it, but I just get on with my life? Because I've not been able to get on with my life. Because as someone with sickle cell, I couldn't work with my mates, I couldn't work with my brothers, and all that. I couldn't work as a labourer and all that. And I was when I left school. But that's the only work that was available to me, because I couldn't apply for anything else. My brother was doing car mechanics, and I thought, I'll try that, because I like looking at them schematic diagrams. I got a job in a Shaw and Kilburn on a YTS scheme, but they weren't training me. And they said to me, "We've got nothing for you to do." And I thought, what's the point then? And I left. And after that, my parents immigrated to Jamaica. I went back with them, done 2 years out there, came back because I was living in rural Jamaica. And so I came back and started to get on with my life, and I realised that I started working, doing labouring jobs, realised that I couldn't do that sort of work, even though that's the work I could get. So I started studying evening classes. And eventually I got into electronics, YTS scheme, TV company for 2 years. I moved to London, and I get a job in the NHS as a biomedical engineer, as a junior there. Get hit by racism. Can't repeat what down with the November people, down with the Negroes. My manager passed that remark. Been in a job 3 months, and I thought, just ignore him. But it turns out he was a racist bully. I put up with that for 4 years. When I complained, they sacked me on the spot, called it redundancy. And throughout that process, oh yeah, we know about him. Yeah, we know what he's like. We know he's racist, but they still sacked me. And back to your question, why would I just park it up? Well, main reason is I couldn't get on with my life, because I didn't have no qualifications. Even when I did get qualifications, I get hit by institutional racism. Now, if I had some sort of education, I would be able to handle that situation a lot better, rather than keeping it to myself and staying quiet while I'm getting bullied. Exactly. And to put up with, I shouldn't have to put up with that. I was 24 when I got that job. So no, actually, I was 23 when I got that job.
Because listen, I asked those questions, and it's really important, because I want the people listening to really understand your story. And at the end, you're going to be sharing about Petition at the end of the interview, your journey and how you were impacted by the decisions that were made to put you into a special school those years ago. Really important. Yeah, really important. And after the break, because we're going to come up to a break shortly, after the break, some more questions and around your parents as well, because you had dedicated parents and the impact. We talk fathers on this show, and what stood out to me in your first and second interview, the impact of the relationship with your father, because the system told your father that you had special needs. So that is another area that I want to look at, and also just the space open for what you want the listeners to hear, because you're going to also be telling us about a petition as well. And there's quite a few questions that came through from your previous interview here, Noel. So I'm just checking in with you. Are you triggered at all with questions with regards to that time in your life? Because it's such it's a horrible time, what they did to you and your family.
I ain't got no problem answering the questions about that time frame and what they did to us, because it wasn't just me they did it to. They did it to hundreds of black children. It could be all in the thousands. But because I'm meeting people today, and they're saying to me they thought they was in isolation. They didn't realise other people went through it. I met a guy recently. He was put in a secure unit because the teachers he couldn't get on in school. They put a brick through the window because they were treating him with indifference. They were treating him, and it's all down to, a lot of this is down to misunderstandings, racism. And the more people I meet, they say, yeah, I went to a school like that, Didn't know what, I thought it was just that's the way it was. because children didn't know and their parents didn't know. And even with that movement back in the 70s, there were academics who knew about it and tried to do something to change the landscape, set up supplementary schools. Now you think about that, you get invited to the motherland, you come with British passports to do your work here, to work for them, to help rebuild their empire after World War II. And the government have a policy to put children...
I'm just going to ask you just to pause right there, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk more to Noel Gordon, Supreme Radio.